at adamsandbutler.com. We did the first part of Namibia a few weeks ago, and we did it live from Namibia. And now we're focusing on other areas as well. We're doing Naturalist again, and we're also going up to Etosha and the Zambezi Strip. So we're having some problems with the presenters joining us earlier today. So we will start in a moment. Or Gio, do you want to start with the video from Deadplay? Maybe.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Perfect.
Give me 1 second.
This was a video that was taken with one of the guides from the Sossusvlei Desert Lodge belonging to NamibRand, and it's Elia is the name of the guide. So he was telling us about the Deadplay.
I'm just going to start now. Here we go, everyone. Oh, no, 1 second. Stop share. I need to get you the sound.
Kimako nangwao, bana bangwao, ipila kangwao nangwao, bana bangwao, ipila kangwao nangwao, bana bangwao, ipila kangwao nangwao, bana bangwao, ipila kangwao.
So I'm with Elia, who is our guide. We spent last night at the NamibRand Sossusvlei Desert Lodge, and we came out this morning and at a very early hour. And Elia, can you tell us about this ancient landscape and how old it is and why it's important that people should visit?
Yes, so basically people will visit Deadplay because this is Deadplay, and people mostly visit it because if you look at it, you can see how photogenic it is. So yes. It is artistic, so you have this white clay layer that is actually caused by the water that actually comes with the river, and then back in the days it would fill up this pen, and when it dries up or evaporate, it leaves this layer of clay that is rich in calc or calcium. That is why you have this white base layer, and then you have all these black standing trees that are dead. They have actually been dead for about 900 or standing for 900 years, and they were alive for 300 years. And basically I would explain later about how this whole thing came about, how the river came here. So this is an ephemeral river. Normally they will flow all the way to the sea, but this one was cut off by the dunes that encroached it, and all this water started spreading and forming these flays. And flay literally just means a pen, but this one, as you can see, it's a dry one.
So Elia, it's quite easy for people to get here. Like, you know, no matter what age, once you're relatively mobile, it's easy to walk here. So how long does it take to come in?
So definitely we drove into the dunes and we parked about 1 kilometer from here. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes to get into the dunes. You just have to walk above. We call them baby dunes, so very small dunes to get here. Well, this is a set stream canyon, and this is where the water or the river that goes through to Sossusvlei and Deadplay flows through. And should this canyon ever collapse, there will be no Sossusvlei or Deadplay, or rather Sossusvlei will become dead.
The other thing is we've left the gate. We're about 10 minutes drive away.
Yeah.
So this is a lovely thing to do afterwards. It's very cool, and you know, the temperature isn't too warm, and it only takes about 10 minutes to come down. Mm-hmm. So it's a good experience as well.
Bangwa,
You're muted, Siobhan.
There are some of the areas we covered when we were staying in Desert Lodge. So Sossusvlei and the canyon, and then Deadplay itself. So we're delighted to welcome Storm, and she's going to tell us about the properties that she has the pleasure of promoting. And the first one we're going to do is we did a bit of Damaraland the last time. We didn't do much of it. We did the south, but we didn't go near Etosha, and we didn't go near the Zambezi Strip. So Storm, you're going to tell us about Etosha and the wonderful property that you have there.
Thank you very much, Siobhan. Thank you very much to all of you joining us today. It is such an honor to be here. I am Storm Napier. I'm born and bred Zimbabwean. I live in Cape Town at the moment, and Namibia is by far my favorite country. So I also do the sales and marketing, as Siobhan mentioned, for Onguma, which is a beautiful private nature reserve of 34,000 hectares on the eastern boundary of Etosha National Park in northern Namibia. Forgive me for looking left slightly. If I don't follow my notes, I'm going to go way overboard because I have so much passion and so much to tell you about this wonderful destination. So I'm going to try and stick to my timings. But before I tell you about Onguma itself, I want to explain a little bit about the area. And one of the things with Namibia is a destination that is completely different to the rest of Southern and East Africa. It's almost like somebody's taken a slice of Northern Africa, plonked it on the south bit of Southern Africa, and it fits, but it doesn't fit. It's so totally different. So one of the ways I like to describe Namibia, if people haven't been or are looking to go for the first time, is Namibia is very much a landscape safari with a little bit of wildlife. Whereas the rest of Southern and East Africa, very simplified, is very much a wildlife safari with a little bit of landscape. And I think that describes Namibia for really what it is. As I mentioned, most of you will be familiar probably with national parks in South Africa, such as Kruger National Park, or up in Kenya, your big national parks that you've got up there. But Namibia very much is... Etosha National Park itself, is very much a dry area. It's a very arid area. It's very flat. It's very open. And one of the things about this area is the fact that we have the big four, not the big five here. And the one that's missing is the buffalo, because we don't have enough water. Although you have a huge pan that looks like a wonderful water area on a map, it's not. It's a salt pan. But it makes for some amazing photographs. Because it is such a big open area, it's ideal habitat for cheetah, and both in on Onguma and in Etosha National Park, it is the perfect environment for them. So we have really good sightings. As I mentioned, Onguma is on the eastern side of the park, which is quieter traditionally in terms of vehicle densities. You always stick to the main roads in the park, and don't let that scare you, because Etosha is not about going off-road and seeing all the animals, because one of the most iconic sightings in Etosha is the fact that you come to a waterhole and you've got all the animals that tend to congregate. Sometimes you can have 2 to 6 different species or even more around the waterhole at any one time. I was lucky enough to be there in April this year, and that's just towards the end of the rainy season. We had phenomenal rains this year, and it was absolutely amazing to see the greenery come out here. But as a result, we had water on the ground until about June, July this year, which is unheard of. Normally it's dry by April. We still had phenomenal wildlife sightings. And I could go to a waterhole when I was driving through, and I saw a little leopard tortoise, I saw zebra, I saw giraffe, I saw impala. We also have an endemic species in Etosha called the black-faced impala. Very pretty little antelope with a black face, and it's only found in Etosha or southern Angola. So Etosha has so much to offer. And despite being a national park, and we don't see the same densities of animals in here that you would in a Kruger or in the Mara, for instance, but it is such a unique and wonderful destination.
Storm, can I ask you something? Just there's always like, I never know whether you should sell sort of like 4 nights in Etosha in one property or do 2 nights on either end. Like, as someone who knows Etosha well, what would you recommend to people?
Most of the time, I recommend doing 2 nights on either end. Most of our guests will stay either 2 or 3 nights on the property, although we're seeing more requests for 4 nights. But because of the differences in Etosha National Park, most people will either come through the southern entrance or they'll exit the southern entrance and go out the eastern entrance. And the 2 sides of the park are completely different. So the southern side is very much about the water holes. It's about sitting there like Okukuyu. Although it's not luxury, sitting at that water hole has amazing photographic opportunities. The southern side is a little bit more hilly, whereas on the eastern side, we're very flat, we're very open. Vehicle densities are a little bit less. There's more diverse flora in terms of different, what would you call them, biomes that you would go through. But what you will find is one of the rumors is that the game viewing is better on the eastern side. I can't attest to either way. I've had phenomenal sightings on the eastern side. I've had phenomenal sightings on the southern side, and vice versa. I've also had bad days where I haven't seen anything, but that's nature, that's wildlife. But in terms
Can we
of
just show the video shortly? Quickly,
yes,
so
that'll
people
probably
have
help.
an idea. In 1 second.
Thank you. Well, guys, if any of you can say you do not want to go to Etosha or Namibia, then I'm out right now. That video, just every time I watch it, it still brings back emotions. And I envy those of you who are coming to Namibia for the first time. I envy those of you who are coming to Onguma for the first time to experience our people, our environment, our lodges, our hospitality. You are going to be blown away. And one of the things with that video does very well is illustrate the area on the eastern side. You can see it's very flat, it's very open. There's a lot of that white Etosha sort of clay coming through. You saw the elephants in the video look very nice. They look white, they look gray almost, and they're known as the ghosts of Etosha because of that white clay that you get there. You also saw a lot of cheetahs in that video. We've got some great sightings, and it gave you a flavor for what each of the different lodges that we have on the property. Currently, we have 4 lodges on the property, something for everyone's taste and something for everyone's budget. One of the properties on Onguma Treetop is reopening again in 2022, very excitingly. On Onguma Treetop, we are repositioning as a luxury property. It will be small, exclusive, only 4 bedrooms, on stilts in the treetops, beautiful big rooms, very modern, all with views onto the waterhole. So very excited. Stay tuned for that. We will keep you updated. And then on the reserve itself, in terms of our flagship properties currently, we've got Onguma Tented Camp, which is very much our out of Africa style accommodation. And the idea behind that is everybody has a view of the waterhole. It's small, it's only 7 rooms. There's air conditioning over the beds, beautiful views. I saw my first leopard on Onguma this year in June. I was so excited. Literally 10 meters from my room. Needless to say, I did not exit. I just watched beautifully. but it is such an amazing destination. Our other flagship property is Onguma the Fort. You will have seen that as the first property that came up. You saw a lot of that North African or Moroccan influence coming through. A lot of people, when they see a fort in the African bush, they look at it and they think, okay, not 100% sure. Once you get there, 99.999% of people absolutely blown away. It's just unique. You walk in through the main areas, you've got this beautiful view out across the landscape. And there's a phenomenal area there where you've got a swimming pool you can sit with your feet in, one of the best gin trolleys of craft gins in Namibia. And what's better than a gin at sunset, watching it just drop below the horizon even. So we have something for everyone. But in terms of activities on the property, you want to be out and about. You want to be enjoying nature. You cannot take a bad picture in Namibia either. If you love photography, Namibia is the destination for you to be in. We have a hide on the property, and if you have a look at our Facebook page, we had some lionesses lying on top of it this week. So those are now on the page. But some fantastic photographic opportunities. We do walks on the property. It's nice and easy. It's open. You focus on the little things in the bush. You've also got sundowner drives. We've got game drives, which take place inside Etosha National Park. On our reserve and in Etosha, we don't drive off-road, and purely for the reason that it's a very sensitive environment. It's a floodplain. So if we do put tracks into that environment, they will stay for years and years and years. So we don't go off-road. And as I say, our game drives take place inside Etosha National Park. But sundowner drives, walks, and very excitingly, we have a brand new experience to share with you guys. It was conceptualized by one of the owners, and he called it his, please excuse my language, hashtag batshit crazy idea. So he custom built a Land Cruiser for a Dream Cruiser sleep out experience. I'm going to share a picture with you now because it's just easier to try and explain using images. So I'm just going to hope that you can see this. Can you see my screen, Giovanna? Excellent.
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Thank you. So this just gives you an idea of your sleep out experience. Look at those stars. That is what it's like in the whole of Namibia. You've got floor to ceiling stars. That Milky Way is breathtaking, dreamy. And the idea behind this is it is a custom built Land Cruiser that we can position anywhere on the reserve for you to stay overnight. And the idea is that you will be picked up by your guide from the lodge just before sunset. He will drive you to where the vehicle has already been set up. You'll get onto the vehicle. He'll do an orientation. There is a two-way radio for you to communicate with the guide and the lodges. And you will feel like you're in the middle of nowhere, but with the safety of only being 5 or 10 minutes away from a lodge at the most. However, you will not see anything else. And that is the specialty about this. You've got a full bathroom. Once you're on top, you will be set up for sundowners. You can choose your drinks. Why not have champagne? Why not celebrate? And then the chef will appear in his full whites, delivering a lovely meze picnic selection to you for the evening. When they delivered the food, I thought, oh my word, there's no way I'm going to get through all of this. Anyway, and I stayed on it on my own as well. And I highly recommend it. It was one of the best experiences I have ever had.
It's perfect for honeymoons as well.
It's ideal for honeymoons. We've had a couple of guests stay on it. Nobody's come off it yet, so nobody's wanted to get down. Everybody, when we pick them up in the mornings, can't we stay another night? So I think that's testament to the service and experience that you have. I thought personally I would stay awake all night enjoying the stars, listening to the sounds of the African bush. Well, I fell asleep at 10 o'clock and I didn't wake up till 6 o'clock. I missed the lions calling. I missed everything that night. But once you're on the vehicle, there's no need for you to get off. So you're completely safe. That once you're in there, you have a full bathroom downstairs, hot and cold running water, flush toilet, your slippers, your robes, true African hospitality. And it is just an amazing place to be. I did mention sundowners. One of the special sundowner experiences that we have at Onguma is this one, where guests arrive and they don't even see it set up in the trees. And for me, one of the main things is there's a fire. That's one thing that's always missing at sunset is a fire. And this just completes that African sunset experience.
Yeah.
And The only reason I'm showing you images is because I think pictures show 1,000 words.
No, it's true.
And that is it from that side. Is there any questions in terms of Onguma or from that side?
We'll get people to put them in the chat box, just so that we can go
Perfect.
on the other properties, and then they can ask questions at the end, or you can type the answers in the chat box as well, and then everyone can look at them as well. Gio,
Fantastic.
do we have Namibia?
And no, they're saying that they had internet problems, but I have a video that I'm gonna show, and
Brilliant.
then we'll get back. Just give me 1 second.
And then maybe Storm, you might add something about the Zambezi strips, and you know, you have properties there as well, don't you as well?
No, so I've actually worked with Nambwa in terms of, I was there earlier this year, so I will give you a personal experience.
Perfect.
Sorry, I just see the video isn't getting great image there. Let me just try again. Can everyone see okay? I think the image wasn't great.
A storm is quite a contrast when you see the desert elephants and then you see that huge herd of elephant in the Zambezi Strip, isn't it?
It is a complete contrast. And I must admit, while I was sitting watching that video again, it's about the third time I've seen it, I fall in love with it every time. And I think this webinar, you have some of the most diverse areas. The only thing that's missing is that sausage flay area, which you showed very kindly at the beginning. Yeah. And you've covered all the key highlights, all the key areas, and you'll see the difference of the scenery and the environment throughout. You've now been taken into the northwest, into that Caprivi region, the Bubuata National Park, which is home to the Big Five. You're on the border with Botswana, you're on border with Angola. It's also where the 4 countries meet in that corner. And it is such a beautiful environment. I was lucky enough to stay there in June this year. I spent so much time in Namibia. I feel really honored. And I'm so disappointed that Tanola couldn't be here or couldn't join us because she's struggling with signal at the lodge at the moment. But her and her husband, who own the properties, they've been in that area for a very long time. Dusty Rogers is a well-known tourism personality in Namibia, and the rapport that he has with the staff and the people there is just unbelievable. The staff are really knowledgeable, they're really enthusiastic about guests, and it's just such a stunning area. It's green, there's a lot of water around. To get to the lodge when you arrive, you've got to take a boat transfer to Nambwa. And Nambwa itself is actually, you can't see it properly from the video, but it's actually situated on stilts in the trees. So one of the main attractions you saw when it panned in on the main area with the fire pits and the restaurant area is the elephants walk straight underneath that deck. I mean, I was there for a retreat, funny enough, and we were doing yoga on the deck. And we looked down and the elephants were just walking underneath us. And it was just amazing to look at them from a totally different angle. I
stayed there back in 2015, and we heard some noise. It was beginning of rain season, so we heard some noise in the middle of the night. And then I stayed in my room. Obviously, I didn't move, but my husband was brave enough, so he thought he'd go and have a look. And he said he was walking over, the passageway, and he heard this breathing. And when he went down a little bit, he saw it was a massive elephant just underneath him, just hiding from the rain a little bit. And I was so scared. I didn't leave my room, but it was just such an amazing experience. And he just tells everyone all the time, because the animals just pass underneath. And a couple of weeks before that, there was a leopard, I think, that had given birth and had chosen one of the trees just beneath. So, there's lots of animal sightings that you can do, and you're safe from above the tree. So,
Storm, just to if you combine, say, the Zambezi Strip with Etosha, would you do, when we were saying about doing two, because what we tend to recommend to clients is doing, as you recommended as well, which is great, because sometimes it's great to know from an expert like you that we're doing the right thing. 2 nights, like two nights in Etosha. Would you do 3 nights in the Strip then as well, with those 4 nights in Etosha, or what do you think is best?
Definitely. The one thing about Namibia is no matter what you do, whether you're self-driving or whether you're flying, the distances are so vast. So whenever you are traveling around Namibia, you want at least 2 to 3 nights in each destination. Obviously, that depends on the length of the holidays that you have, or time your guests have to travel. But ideally 2 to 3 nights in each destination. So an ideal fly around itinerary would be, now you could go down to the south to Sossusvlei. You could then fly up to Damaraland, then you could go to Etosha, and then you could go to the Caprivi, and then you can even tag on the Victoria Falls as one of the key centers there.
But then you're leaving out the Skeleton Coast with the brown hyena, you're leaving out Fish Canyon. Like, there is so much to do that people don't realize, isn't there?
Exactly. And this is the thing, Namibia is one of those hidden gems that most people are only starting to learn about now. And one of the questions, for instance, I saw in the chat now is June a good time to visit? So maybe now is a good time to just say briefly, in terms of times of year and what sort of weather you'll experience, our high seasons tend to be from anywhere from sort of end of March to beginning of April, right the way through to October or even November. And that's because it's cooler during it's our winter season, it's our dry season. And then it starts with the rain, normally at the end of November, beginning of December. When the rains start, the baby animals come as well. But the light changes completely around that time of year. So if you're into photography, that November through to March is an ideal time to come, because you get the cloud buildup, the light changes, you get, it is hot. So you're looking, although Namibia is very high, you don't suffer from a humid heat, but it can be hot. So you're looking at your mid 30s up to sometimes early 40s, depending on the area you are. Most of the properties will have air conditioning or fans. And then in terms of your winter time, your daytime temperatures will be anything from your early to mid 20s, sometimes up to early 30s, depending on where you are again. But your nighttime temperatures are a lot cooler, and you're looking at your mid-teens, sometimes even down, like in and around Windhoek surrounds, it can go down to 0 or even below 0 in some cases. Yeah. But the days are still lovely and sunny. So hopefully that helps in terms of timings.
That's brilliant. And then also the other thing is, like, we say it's not, it's landscape with animals, but you've got an amazing variety of animals there, like brown hyena, one that you don't get much elsewhere, the oryx, and then those desert animals, black rhino you can track. Like, there's so many things to see that's different from the rest of Africa. And, if it is your first time, if you build in, the big 4 or big 5 in Etosha or Zambezi, you've covered your bases as well, if you need to. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's one of the nice things about that Caprivi region where Nambwa is that is your more traditional safari experience with the additional bonus of having a water-based safari. So you're on the water, you can do your game viewing on the water, you can do sunset cruises on the water. It's quite reminiscent of that Chobe Okavango feel from the Botswana side, but Namibia is quieter. It's such a beautiful area in that Bubuata Park. And I definitely recommend combining it. But as you say, there's so many activities to do on the ground. So you want to spend at least 2 to 3 days in each place.
And we're not even mentioning the different tribes, like the different very distinct tribes, like the Himba, the San, the Nama, everything that's there, or the rich history. There's a lot there. So Gio, should we show your elephant video, I wonder, just for a change of pace?
Yeah, I'll show the elephants first. Hold on.
And then maybe we'll talk about Damaraland Storm, if that's okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're the only one with connectivity now. And this is a lovely little video of an elephant having fun.
Elephants are sandboarding. Very funny. Second one, you see there? Aha. Elephants are sunboarding. Very fast.
Very fast. Oh, now the little one.
Hey. Uh-huh.
It's excited, isn't it?
Uh-huh. You see, the others are coming.
So cute. So cute.
That's amazing. And that's the thing, the animal aspect is so different there. As I said, with all those desert animals, it's really amazing how they've adapted and what they've done, and the research that's being done on them is amazing. So we're going to talk to you about Damaraland, but just to let everyone know that after we speak to Storm about the 2 properties in Damaraland, what we're going to do is we have a interview with one of the top naturalists, Johan from Namibia, which we're going to play at the end as well. So you've got 2 properties you're going to tell us about, Storm.
Yes, thank you very much. And that video,
that background.
Sorry,
Your background.
has it not swapped?
Oh, no, she has.
Yes, yeah,
Thank
grand.
you. So I'm now in Damaraland, as you can see. Time travel, magic. So that video was very kindly given to us by guests who stayed at Chiwani safari camps in Damaraland. It was taken just over a year ago. I'm not lying when I say I've seen that video probably 200 times. every time it makes me smile. It's just such a brilliant little video. And it's amazing to see those huge creatures in such a harsh environment. And as Siobhan said in the last Namibia webinar, you had a really good educational talk about the desert elephants in this area. So I'm not going to go over that again. But I am going to tell you a little bit about Chiwani Safari Camps, which is the overarching brand for Mulwani Mountain Camp and Camp Kipwa in Damaraland. They are two iconic properties that have been in the area for a very long time. And Siobhan in her last webinar was very lucky to be in this area at another lovely camp that's just opened. So as I mentioned, and as you've seen with Namibia, it's a landscape safari and a truly astounding destination. When you and your guests come to this beautiful country and experience the place and the people for yourselves, you will be changed. Only you will know how, because it is such a personal journey. And that leads me perfectly into the setting and the tone for Damaraland, because this area is epic. It's ochre boulders strewn across this beautiful wide landscape. It's vast, it's ancient, it's magical, it's mystical,
It must remind
explain
you
it.
home of the Matopas.
It does, yes.
That's what I think when I'm in Damaraland. I just think this is Zimbabwe. There's so many, and the big smile that everyone has as well. So typical Zimbabwean.
Yes, and the
video.
The Damara people. Yeah, you can do, yes.
Just show it there.
Thank you. Thank you. So thank you very much, Gio. That video basically is Camp Kipwa, which is it's a very homely feeling camp. It's a small camp. It's a little bit more intimate, but you saw the way the rooms are designed to look and feel like they're part of that environment. And that is what is unique about both Mulwani and Kipwa, is the architectural styles. When you're coming to this area, you wouldn't stay at both properties. You'd choose one or the other depending on your clients, and then you would go on to the next destination. So, I mean, just to give you an idea of this area as a whole, this area is home to Namibia's World Heritage Site, Twyfelfontein, which is also famous for being one of the largest concentrations of rock art engravings in the world, dating between 6,000 and 2,000 years old. So it is a phenomenal cultural experience. You have the Damara people that live in this area. They're lovely people, very friendly. And we've also got the desert adapted elephants in this area. And one of the nice things about this particular lodge is it's not far from the Damara Living Museum, where you can go and see the Damara people, and they will show you how they used to live. They don't live a lot of that way and as the way that they used to, but they will show you their history, their heritage, and they've kept that wherever possible, which is amazing to see.
I actually liked that. I did that and I really enjoyed it, because it's just something different. And a lot of people are interested in people as much as they're interested in the animals, and it gives you a true feeling for it. But the other thing I noticed, which was which was actually beautiful to see. And that was to see the Damara people. There was a black rhino that was in the area, went in towards the farms, and they actually alerted the ranger so they could keep an eye on it. So it shows how supportive they are and how cognizant of the fact that, you know, nature is important for them as well. Whereas in a lot of other countries, you know, there is that little bit of animosity between the people and encroaching nature, you know, when they're trying to eke a living out of a dry land as such.
Yes. No, absolutely. And Siobhan, that is so accurate, because when our guides do their drives in search of the desert elephants, which sometimes can be 4 hours, sometimes can be 8 hours, they speak to the local people. They communicate with the local villagers. Everybody feeds in information as to where the elephants have come from, where they're going to. Same with the rhinos. And this is one of the special things about this area. When you go on a drive in this area, you get to meet the locals, you get to see the locals, you get to see their homesteads. Some of it is heartbreaking, it's Africa, but some isn't. You know, a lot of them are happy with what they have, but the people are so friendly. The kids run up to the vehicles, elephants went that way, elephants went that way. You know, there's a real pride among the people. And for me, that makes such a difference. And as I mentioned, Mulwani and Kipwa are both iconic lodges that have been in this area for a very long time. Mulwani is 25 years old, and we've always employed people from the local community. We have a conservancy levy that goes straight into that community, and then the community has a body, I suppose, that will then distribute the money as to where they need it. But that is what is so amazing about this area. Our staff at the lodges have been with us on average 20 years. So it's long-standing local people. And sometimes their skills need refining, and sometimes it's a culture thing. But they're such amazing people if you spend the time just talking to them.
But I find as well that everyone in Namibia has a can-do attitude. Like, yes. You know, it's lovely going to a country, and like I know, yeah, you're Zimbabwe, but I really love Zimbabwe for that reason as well. Yeah. And you have that in Namibia, and you know, in other countries, that people are, you know, it's very much a can-do attitude. You know, even if they don't know what to do, they're going to make sure they can do it. Yes. You know, and they want to make sure people are happy and they really enjoy their country and they take home a good memory. Like, you know, it's so apparent. And even like I remember we did an interview that I did when I arrived in Amanda. And like the guy that was serving us, you know, was just saying, please, you know, bring in more clients. We love clients. You know, this makes us happy. And, you know, it's, you know, it's like we're all in this together, you know, just get more tourists coming to Namibia, which is great as well.
So I had a funny that you say that, because I actually had a couple of videos from the staff at the lodges over the last few months where they've wanted to put videos out themselves, and they wanted to say that they want people to come back. Please send your guests. We want to see your guests. We want to see people here. So please send them. And I toyed with, do I send them to you? Do I not send them to you? Yeah. I didn't, but I've got them if anybody wants.
No, because we showed one last week, because I toyed with it with Gio, and I said, I don't know if it's a tiny bit corny looking. Then I said, but he did it like genuinely and authentically. Yeah. He was just saying, you know, send his clients. It's good that Namibia is busy again. You know, we want to keep the vibe going. So should we go on to Johan's interview, or do you need to say more about the property?
Just a couple more, if you don't mind. I just want to say a couple more things, just in terms of Kipwa being hidden between the rocks. But if I can just show you a couple of slides quickly. And the reason, because images say 1,000 words. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
And that's why I say the sunsets here, arguably the best sunset spot in Namibia at Kipwa or Mulwani. You sit on the rocks, beanbags, cushions, cocktails, mocktails, whatever takes your fancy, snacks, and you watch that beautiful changing landscape. And what I was explaining just now is the differences between the two properties. Why is this not moving? Oh, that's why. So you can see Mulwani is built on top of a rocky outcrop, and you can just see the rooms here. Whereas Camp Kipwa, I had to throw that one in, it's just a wow image. Kipwa is hidden between the rocks. It's designed to look and feel like it's part of that environment. And one of the exciting things I would like to tell you just before we go onto the video for Mulwani very quickly is just to show you, there you can see the rooms hidden between the rocks there. But the outside bathrooms are absolutely mind-blowing. The stars at night when you're showering are just stunning. And excitingly, which opened today, we have our first guests going in, is 2 brand new suites at Camp Kipwa. And this is the only picture we have of it. So you guys are the first ones to see the new suite. So one is east facing, one is west facing, but beautiful uninterrupted views. So I just thought I wanted to give you a sneak peek, and you guys are the first to see this.
Brilliant. And that's the other thing, like when I was in Unduli Ridge Lodge, which is like in the same area, both nights I got them to push the bed out because it's just amazing. Like there's nothing better in the world, I think, than going to sleep with the stars above you.
And this is it. And that's why Namibia is so wonderful. And this area in particular, because you hardly have any rain, therefore you do have a few insects, but not many. But those skies, they're just never interrupted. It's beautiful. So thank you. I think there's one video quickly, and then Johan, which will be very exciting. I'm looking forward to that one.
Great.
He's amazing.
The video first.
Guide to Naturalist. He's fantastic. Someone was just going to ask about
Mulwani, it offers something different because the style of Mulwani blends into the surroundings. Tucked away in these special boulders, this place is part of this world. Our accommodation varies from superior view rooms, standard view rooms, the mountain suite, as well as the mini suite and the luxury rooms. The experiences that we have on offer is the nature drive, where guests spend time with desert elephants. And then we have the Twyfelfontein engravings, where you get to see the Ben Mountain, the rock paintings, as well as the Occam pipes. And then we have the Amara Living Museum that we do an extra activity for. This place allows you to breathe, spend time in nature. The views are spectacular. It takes your breath away. Mulwani Mountain Camp is magic, and magic lives here.
You're on mute.
As per usual. That's musical form. Thanks a million. By the way, I wish I could record your laugh and have that waking me up in the morning.
Thank you very much.
I thought you were in competition. One of the people you had in your videos had an amazing laugh as well. So now we're going, and by the way, just to reconfirm for people who haven't sold Namibia before, so Namibland, you only need one stay in the sense of one property. It's not like Etosha that you need to have two. Etosha is the only one that you have that differing, experience in the same larger area as such. Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. And this is the nice thing about this area is the property you were at last time on Unduli Ridge is a beautiful property. It is that upper 5-star level. That's what they're catering at. Mulwani Mountain Camp is your sort of high level 4-star entry level 5-star, just to give you an example. And Kipwa then is your home away from home, intimate feeling property. So something for everyone.
Yeah. And the other thing, by the way, you have to mention is the beer in the Windhoek beer. It's just an amazing quality beer. Isn't it? Like it's a German beer. Do you know what I mean? It's fantastic.
The food in Namibia and the beer in Namibia is just amazing. The tafel and the Windhoek lagers. Yeah. Oh, now I'm thirsty.
The tafel is interesting. It's more catering towards the oh my God, what you call those ales? The local regional ales that you get.
Yes.
Like, oh my God, what's the name for them? Can't think of those ones. Oh my God, the word is just escaping me. But when you get these local beers and ales now everywhere in around the world, is really, really good. So Gio, do you want to go on to Johan's interview maybe? So this is one craft beer. Thank you. I just lost the word there. So we have an interview with one of Namibia's top naturalists, and he really is amazing. He was guiding us. He's also a naturalist, and he really, really loves what he does. He's so passionate about what he does. And then Storm is going to stay with us, so if you have any questions as well that you need to ask afterwards.
Perfect. I'll just play the video now.
So we've come to the end of our journey in Namibia. We started in Windhoek and we're back in Windhoek in a lovely property, a boutique guest house called Bolton House, run by an amazing hands-on manager, Colin. So I'm here with Johan, who was our naturalist guide throughout the trip. And just I have to preempt this by saying that every time we met other guides, they let us know how lucky we were to have Johan, because he's one of the top naturalists in Namibia. And so we're going to ask Johan about Namibia and what he thinks makes Namibia different and why people should come to Namibia.
Well, obviously, Namibia is known as the land of contrasts. And I think Namibia has something to offer everybody. It can be wildlife, it can be interesting history, landscapes, whatever you want, we can offer it in one country. So Namibia is definitely a country you can visit as a first timer, or if you've been traveling all over the world, we can offer you something you've never seen before.
It's true because like there's a lot of different things. Like before I came back, I always thought of Namibia as being sort of spectacular landscape.
Yeah.
But what we've discovered traveling with yourself, firstly, is the amazing food.
Yes.
Like we had some meals that I will forever regret that I didn't finish what was on my plate, or bring it to have for breakfast the next day. Also the people are so welcoming, and like whether you meet them at a gas station or wherever, everyone is so welcoming. Everyone waves. You know, they're delighted to see tourists coming back to Namibia. You know, especially after last year. And the other thing that as well is the animals are very unique here as well.
Yeah.
So yes, if people have been to Africa before, it's great to see this as an alternative, as we were discussing, it's unique in Africa.
Yeah.
But also then, even for those who are coming for a first time, you do have the Big Five, and in some places the Big Four.
Yes.
So it can be a first time visit, which probably people don't realise.
Yeah. So it's all about how you plan your trip. So obviously, if you plan it the right way, we can definitely satisfy what you're coming to see. So just wildlife experiences, we can offer it, and unique experiences. If you've seen all of that, and landscape, people, you can come. And definitely you traveling, the sense we got while traveling through Namibia, the friendliness and a sense of being very welcome.
Yeah.
I think that is all the guests that I've guided, this is something that definitely stands out. Even if they've been all over, that is the one comment that they always make.
Then people as well, like if you can do it from and nicely from mid to high level. Like people can self-drive. We saw the roads; they aren't crowded. It's very easy to drive on the roads. They're very simple roads, and the maps are fantastic, very detailed. And then what we did is, because we wanted to get a true feel of what was happening and to really get under the skin of Namibia, is we drove with yourself, so having a private guide and a naturalist to guide you. But then people can also fly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is the one thing, we offer everything, and then a lot of our lodges we have private airstrips. So if you want to do just flying safari, you can do that. If you want to do self-drive, the roads are well marked. It is a safe country to travel in, but definitely the way we always prefer that you come to Namibia is obviously guided, because what we always say is that Namibia, when you come on your own, is like a beautiful documentary that you're experiencing by yourself, but it's with the volume off, right? So if you have a guide, you have this naturalist that's interpreting what you're seeing, what you're experiencing. And obviously, we have inside information. We can show you stuff that if you were driving by yourself, you would never ever see. Example, like we roaming through Damaraland, just finding the black rhino, just seeing the elephant tracks on the road. I already knew, there's a spring close by, so we'll just pop in. So seeing these desert specials, it's a door that is opened up by your guide that you're traveling with.
It's true, because even if you're driving by yourself and you go to a national park or a national reserve or a private reserve, you can't track an animal.
Yeah.
So like we, on the first day we arrived in Windhoek, we were actually tracking white rhino at a private reserve just outside of Windhoek.
Yeah.
And then with yourself, we were tracking black rhino, which is something that very few people in the world have done, because if you're lucky enough, you can track white rhino, but it's very rare that you can track black rhino.
Actually, Namibia is definitely one of the best places to come and track free roaming black rhino. So.
And then even actually, I just realized even this book in front of me here, Vanishing Kings, all about the desert lions and how they've brought the population back up again.
Yes.
Again, that's something that I don't know if they have it elsewhere in Africa. I don't think they do.
No.
So the desert lions, the desert elephant. And that was very interesting, because you can see the way that the shape of the elephant is a little bit different because of the way that they live, their lifestyle. It's amazing. Like that's something, again, you can't do elsewhere.
No, definitely not.
And then arcs. abound.
Yes.
It's lovely to see the arcs. Like if you go down to Sussex Lane, you see the sand dunes and the arcs there. It's just spectacular, contrasting scenery that you don't get elsewhere.
No, definitely. And, you know, sometimes, like, I know you were blown away when we saw the oryx, basically just sand, but you see this beautiful animal, you know, full body, beautiful, and you don't know what it's eating, where it's getting its water.
Yeah.
And it's just a pleasure discovering this, you know, how they survive in these true desert environments. And
because where I've seen oryx before would be in Kenya and Zambezi, but again, completely, there's plenty of grass, or in even the desert, you know, that's almost a different type, you know, up in the Arab world. But totally different. And again, then the shipwreck coast, again, nowhere else.
Yes. So that's uniquely Namibia, and definitely an experience. So if you want to come to Namibia and see something unique, it's Sossus Vlei, Skeleton Coast, and definitely Tamaraland.
Yeah.
So these are like uniquely Namibian offerings that we have. Nowhere else to be experienced.
And then I was traveling with my son, and he's voted two of the properties we stayed in the best properties in the world now.
So definitely, you know, for us hearing that, that's music to our ears. Because at the end of a safari, you know, our payment is your smile, and if we can get a little bit of tears, we know we've done our job properly.
Well, like the thing is that in the properties that we're talking about as well, which was Unduli River Lodge and the Sussex Strait Desert Lodge, Long Time Beyond, it's a property that if you don't wish that you had another day to spend there, you didn't really enjoy it. Because like that was really sad to leave both those properties in particular. And they're amazing properties.
And you know, for us that go there regularly with different guests, nationalities from all over the world, that's always the feel. Like, it doesn't matter how many days, it's like we should have spent one more day. That's always the feeling. But that is always a good thing, because that means that they've enjoyed it, you know. It gets, that's what we aim for.
So as well as all those things are particularly unique to Namibia, like we also did sort of like adrenaline sports, like the you know, the quad bikes at, you know, 80 kilometers an hour, whatever it was, the sandboarding down the dunes, and then those things that don't seem spectacular when you describe them, but when you're doing them, they're amazing, like the desert walks. And, you know, finding all about the little animals, and again, the golden mole, I don't know where else it is.
No, it's the specific one is endemic to the Namib.
So there's lots of animals like that people don't know about that they can discover on a walk. That, you know, has special memories for them then when they come home. And the other thing is the level of the guiding. Like our guides were amazing. Like they were truly outstanding. And then we also like came across other guides like Orlando that we didn't experience as guiding, but we know that the wealth of knowledge that's in the industry here and the profession.
So that's definitely all properties. That's the one thing we aim for, is a high level of guiding. So there's a lot of investment in in-house training, and then obviously national training. So if you do come, you know, these are people that will take care of you and open up the natural world for you. Doesn't matter, you know, from a sand grain up to an elephant, they will, you know, inform you about all interesting facts, and then try to please you when you're there.
And there's also a rich history, because like I have a more fuller understanding of the history of Namibia, which is amazing. And it's very much an inclusive society.
So and there's definitely, it kind of just flows in as you're traveling through, and it just comes as part of a natural experience. As you're going, learning about the natural world, you learn a bit about the history, and very easy to integrate all of that knowledge in the end and understand where you've been.
And like we were laughing at the fact that we have a lot of Jewish clients, so I always look for any Jewish connections. And we even found it in Twyfelfontein, you know, where we found the Jewish family that had settled there and lived there
against all odds.
Against all odds. You know, so there's lots of little interesting bits as well. And again, you know, the things like the quiver tree, there's different vegetation, trees you don't come across elsewhere, you know, plants, etc. So there really is a lot. So can I ask, how did you get into guiding? Like, how did you discover this passion?
Guiding was not something you were offered when you were at school. You know, you are taught about engineering, being an accountant and stuff like that. So for me, it was more coincidence. I met a friend that opened up that door to me, and I always thought like, wow, if this is a job, I need to do it. And the thing, it's a very competitive world to get into because a lot of guys want to do it. So what I did is I did a lot of pre-studying. So I think when I did the exams, we were a group of 100 guys, and they were just looking for 3 guys.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the pressure just to reach the top 10. So what I did is like endless days, endless nights, just studying. Because the easy thing with me was I was raised in a small town, so I knew the natural world. It was just now kind of learning what everything is in English, like bird names, animal names, and stuff like that. And obviously, like, true passion to learn as much as possible. And I ended up being part of the top 2 guys.
Right.
And from then, so that's almost now 2 decades back, and I still feel like I have so much to learn.
But the funny thing is, it was lovely seeing you with the young, like, we came across an amazing guide, Elia, and it was lovely to see the interaction between both of you because you were helping him learn more, and he was just delighted with the opportunity to learn from someone like yourself.
Yeah.
It was a lovely interaction. Like, it was great because you were mentoring him, and when we'd ask a question to you, you would get him to answer, which, and that was great.
And it's a two-way street, right? So even though he's like a younger guy, sometimes the insights can be different.
Yeah.
And it's also a wonderful way of giving back, what you've learned over the years, and then imparting that to the younger guys coming up, and then obviously they can make the most of that and improve on it.
Yeah, because he kept on saying that when we were leaving, that he was so delighted that he had the opportunity, to be with you when he was guiding. That's lovely as well.
I know.
So I think, sadly, Johan, we have to leave. We have to go on that plane and go home.
Yeah.
And we will be coming back, and we'll be doing Etosha and the Zambezi strip, and doing that in depth. But the one thing I think that the people have to know about Namibia, as we were discussing this during the trip, that is very unique in Africa, yet it is uniquely and spectacularly African, isn't it?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So we need everyone to come to Namibia because it's wide open spaces. Yeah. Everyone is eager to welcome travellers to Namibia, especially, you have a lot of European travellers here.
Yes.
We need more, travellers from North America, the USA, Canada, and indeed Latin America and Australia. So hopefully by visiting some of these wonderful properties and talking to these wonderful people like Johan, one of the top naturalists in the world, and in Namibia, that we can encourage more people to come.
Yeah, for sure. All we ask is you come with a good appetite and an inquiring mind, and we are ready for you.
And a fondness for good food.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Excellent.
I think Johan is amazing, and I think we only lost one person on that video, and only at the end. So I think he summarized very well up what Namibia represents. What do you think, Storm?
No, I think it's brilliant. And what he said about having a guide to interpret and tell the stories of the places that you are going. Namibia is one of those destinations, if you can take a guide, it's one of the best things you'll ever do because you see so much more, you get so much more from it. And they can interpret that environment. Like you would never have seen that desert rhino had he not been with you.
Or a golden mole, like a golden
mole.
Or
a golden mole. Wow. And there is so much in the desert that it is very much a living desert. People see desert and no life. And that's not the case. The desert is living. There's so much out there. It's unbelievable.
So that's the end of our webinar in Namibia. It's also the end of our series for this year because we had over 50,000 people. I think it's like something like 50,047 people on our webinar since we started in April last year. So we're delighted that you all stayed with us, and we're delighted that you all look at the recordings, and every week we get people looking for recordings of previous ones that were on. So thanks a million, Storm, for joining us, because we'd like 2 other people that we couldn't get connected despite everything. And thank you everyone, as I said, for joining us as well, and then obviously Gio for doing all the hard work in the background, and the other people who were doing spotlights and stuff like that as well.
Great. And there was just one question there about how to get to Windhoek from Cape Town.
Yes, so from Cape Town, if you are coming up from Cape Town, Airlink is the the airline. They've been phenomenal throughout the whole pandemic. What I was going to say just now as well, Siobhan, is Namibia did things correctly in that they insisted that tourism was frontline staff when it came to vaccinations. So for instance, all Onguma and Chiwani safari staff are vaccinated, so you can travel safely. Access is from Cape Town or from Joburg, can be with Airlink mainly, and other airlines that fly into Windhoek directly is Lufthansa
and
Eurowings.
Air Namibia.
What's the other one as well? The Addis Ababa, Ethiopian Airlines.
Yes, correct. So at the moment, the only ones that are flying internationally is Ethiopian and Eurowings, which is part of Lufthansa Group. Otherwise, you have to go via somewhere else. And the other connecting flights that come from Cape Town is West Air, which is a local airline. So there is 2 lots, and the Airlink flights are very nicely timed in terms, and they've also just implemented a whole lot of agreements with other airlines. They've used the COVID times to really open things up for the rest of Africa. So
I think they've gone into a partnership with Emirates as well, haven't they?
They have, yes.
Yeah, and then you have the Airlink coming in from both Cape Town and Johannesburg.
Correct, and United from the States as well into Joburg and soon to be Cape Town as well.
Fantastic. So that's brilliant. Thank you very much, Storm. It's lovely to see you again and to hear that laugh. It always makes me
Thank you very much for the opportunity and for the time. And you saved Namibia as the best for last. As we say, nailed it.
Thank you everyone very much for joining us this evening. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.